Yeah, let me.
Welcome. I'm the owner of Crafty Kate. At Crafty Kate, we specialize in high-quality custom printing and personalization, including DTF prints, custom apparel, embroidery, and laser engraving. Whether you're ordering a single item or outfitting a full team, we offer no minimum order requirement and consistent professional results. Our goal is to provide reliable service, competitive pricing, and products that help your brand or event stand out. So come visit us. We're located in Lowell, North Carolina, right at the heart of Gaston County. Or give us a call at 704-675-1284. See you soon.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Before I hit our intro, let me get our boy Nate up in here. All right, let's get into it. After weeks of frustration, questions, and tough results, finally back into the winning ways, and it didn't come easy. It was a gritty performance, a response when it mattered, and for the first time in a while, something we can build on from here. Tonight, we're joined by Brian Bam Maurer Media from Top Bin 90. How are you doing tonight, Brian?
Doing well, man. Doing well. Hey, I actually brought the Yeti clan. This is from I think 2022.
That's a year one.
Hey, a select few got those, man.
Yes, sir.
That's crazy. That's wild right there. That's a throwback.
That's crazy.
Doing well, man. Doing well.
Damn, bro.
Look, man, I've been busy. This is my first meal of the fucking day.
And I'm sorry, it's some ramen noodles, Nate.
I love
it.
Yeah, I got the beef
look,
one.
he got the legit cup noodles, bro. I do the Marucha brand. You went with the legit cup noodle. Look
He's a
at
culture
that.
man.
Pat's not
They're
even
the
paying
ones that
attention.
microwave was safe. He watching the Knicks game right now.
Oh, look at him. How's that
He
going?
was happy when New York beat us on Wednesday.
Fuck their soccer team.
Yeah.
And some of their football teams and that other basketball team and the Mets.
They only have two.
The Rangers and the Islanders.
And the Yankees.
Anyways.
And the Giants.
Anyways, let's get started. Midweek
right
loss against New York at the bank. It was a frustrating night. And honestly,
you say New York, Canada.
No,
we're still talking. We're talking about last Wednesday.
That's right.
Yeah, we're throwing it back just a little bit.
Yeah, we gotta check in with that loss, man. It felt frustrating because honestly, it felt like Charlie beat themselves. Brian, we'll start with you, man. What you make of the match?
Yeah, I mean it was a boring one. That's what Lee told us on our program last night, and it was. I mean, that's exactly what it was. I feel like, I mean, obviously you could chalk it up to Kalina making a mistake there early, but the fact that they just didn't create anything, 5 total shots, getting shut out at home. I mean, that's the biggest concern, is that you're just not generating anything in front of your hometown crowd. And I think that was a performance that really, even after the Toronto win this weekend, it doesn't feel like the crowd is fully recovered from that midweek loss. I think that was one that really put a lot of people maybe over the edge in some ways. I even tried to like talk about like how Pep Biel got kind of snubbed from the All-Star break, and people kind of had it. They didn't really have the fight in them to fight for Pep Biel not being kind of near in the running to vote. And I think a lot of it comes down to just how that New York game went. I think that was one that really, put things a little bit over the edge in terms of, I think the team needs to show a lot more fight for a lot longer after that result. It's kind of like the team and the crowd is always like, the fan base is always kind of given like the poor road form that they always like pretty much always have year after year. Like they've always been kind of like some leeway because of how strong they are at home. And I think those two, the draw against Cincinnati, falling behind against them early, and then falling behind early against New York, and then not being able to find a way to fight back into it. I think that kind of set things off a little bit, that this year feels a little bit different maybe than even the slump during last season. I don't know. That's just kind of the vibes I've been getting, at least so far this season.
100%. Nate, what do you think, man? What was stopping Charlotte from at least putting one on the board?
Honestly, themselves. I don't think anybody on the team. It didn't look like anybody on the team really wanted to be out there on the fucking field on Wednesday.
Yeah, no, you're right.
To me, it was kind of one of those things where it's like they kind of accepted defeat before they even got out there, which I don't know why. But I don't know,
There were some chances. There was just before the half. There was Saka slid in Pep, and he just didn't. It just wasn't Pep's night. But there's just something. I don't know if we've hit a wall or the Dean's tactics ain't working. But games at home like that, we should at least be able to put up more of a fight.
100%.
David, you were on the Capo stand, man. You said of all 5 years, that was your worst experience ever.
Absolutely, dude. Crowd was dead. There wasn't a lot of people. The team was not backing it up. There wasn't even chances to be like, oh shit, we got something to build on. Yeah, we had a goal, but it was a disallowed goal. And other than that, there was never really a moment where we were like, hey, we can build on this, or like, hey, this is it. You know what I mean? Like, we got them. Like, we're going to get on them. There was never really a moment of spark. I think Pep was the only person who really created a chance. But shout out to Matt Freese. You know what I mean? Great goalkeeper. Continue to prove why he gets chosen to be the starting goalkeeper, and shows why he's in the position that he's in, because he fucking makes great saves, dude. If it wasn't for him, we would have probably leveled that match. But other than that, I didn't see but one or two moments of I wouldn't say moments of brilliance, but just sparks of something for us.
Go ahead, Nate.
I don't know about y'all, but everything that day just felt off. Even just from getting to the tailgate to going inside the stadium before the game even started, everything just felt off. And I don't know if it's just a Wednesday thing that everybody just got off work, but everything just fucking sucked.
Yeah.
But the team has no excuse. This is your fucking job, all right? You're not coming off a 9 to 5.
Yeah, and New York, this is a team that these teams know each other.
100%.
And I think New York's coach said it's not about individual talent. It's about making the moments count, and they did. They went up early. Nico Fernandez seems to always score at the bank.
Yeah.
And Nate, we were standing right beside each other, bro. When Morales got the ball, you were like, "Who the f is that midget?" And what happens? He lobs that ball through our defenders, and the goal happens. Yeah, Kalina missed it, but we still went to defense. But yeah, good shout out to New York, because they score the goal, and then defensively they locked down, they compact, and they were physical, and they made the game tough for Charlotte. They know how to get into Charlotte. Saha was getting fouled damn near in the midfield. And I think he got a yellow for getting when he got pushed, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he picked up another yellow in that one, and then it was just also, I feel like one other thing is just, the team is so dependent still, I think, on Ashley Westwood. I think that for me was also something that was quite clear since he was suspended for that game. Just the energy that he brings, the leadership quality, just the vocalness of getting people back into shape when they need to be, and keeping games from getting completely out of hand. I think when the team doesn't have the pieces in place to just keep their shape, and Westwood is just a big part of doing that. Things get really just chaotic when he's not out there, and obviously more often than not he is. But in a Wednesday game, when I think the margins were pretty fine, because again, like you said, Brian, and Dean mentioned it too, like the teams know each other pretty well because they had to play each other earlier, last month, and then 3 times in October and November. So it's just those margins become fine as these teams get to know each other better and better. And yeah, I think Westwood, for me, also just his absence was probably a pretty big difference in this game.
Yeah. Would you guys say that match came down to one individual mistake or something a bigger issue in the team?
For sure, a bigger issue. I mean, I think that was, 5 total shots doesn't come down to one issue for me. I feel like it's been sort of a symbolic issue of just lack of volume since Dean Smith has really taken over this team. And I think it's just starting to come into just the issues really starting to highlight now, because the execution is not quite there. I feel like last year there was a lot of times, especially during that winning streak, where they were able to execute, and just be able to, even if they weren't getting a ton of shots, still getting a couple good looks that Zaha or Biel were able to put away. That just doesn't seem like that's quite happening right now. And so with the shots being down, and the volume never really quite, improving, there's still, they're not getting the goals right now. And I think that's at least consistently. And I think that's, for me, is the biggest issue, is they just, that issue that I'd say I've highlighted it pretty much since 2024 is finally starting to really rear its ugly head.
Yeah.
What do you guys make about Dean kind of pointing the finger at Saha? I mean, not Saha, Kalina, for his mistake. I don't think he's ever kind of threw a player under the bus like that.
I think it's bullshit. You can't. I mean, one he makes one mistake and you point him at the finger, but you got all these other players making all these fucking mistakes, and you haven't pointed the finger at them.
Brian, you were at the media scrum. Like when he said that, was there kind of a vibe check there, or was kind of like?
Not from that moment, but I do appreciate that Tim addressed that moment head on when he was out there. I felt like that was actually one moment where I was extremely impressed with how Tim Ream composed himself. His entire post-match press conference was just, he highlighted a lot of things. He stayed really composed, and he specifically said, Kalina has bailed us out time and time and time again. There's just so many moments where he's done that. And so to put this one result on him is crazy. I mean, especially, again, it's at home, you expect to get at least one, but preferably 2 or 3 goals, just because that's how you should be when you're at home, especially the team that has consistently dominated and expected results at the bank. You expect multiple goals, and that can get you a win and give you the leeway to have an error from your goalkeeper from time to time. And if you can't expect an error from time to time from your goalkeeper or your back line, it's going to happen. And those cost you goals, you got to be able to make up for that. And
what do you think, Pat? Was that kind of a way for Dean kind of scapegoating, or kind of it was just he didn't handle that correctly?
I honestly just don't think Dean weights a ton of performance on goalkeepers. I think that he's always kind of even when Kalina, I'd say when a lot of people have a ton of respect for Kalina's solid performances, especially say the St. Louis game when he made 10 saves. It was a record amount of saves. Dean kind of downplayed it a lot. Well, there was 2 or 3 saves that he were really good, but the rest were saves he should have made. So Dean always seems to kind of trend, I feel in goalkeepers, with goalkeepers, at least as much as I've seen him with analyzing Kalina, he always kind of maybe downplays his strong performances. And so I'd say that just when he make a mistake like this, he maybe just highlights a little bit more. Because that's just how he's always evaluated, Kalina, or just the goalkeeper position, at least from what I've seen.
I just think he needs to, like, I don't know. When I was watching the press conference, it kind of take me off because just in reality, if Kalina, like, when we bring New York away, if Kalina doesn't make those 8 saves, we lose that game.
Yeah,
And
100%.
talking about getting swept by New York.
Yep.
And now
Yes.
the guy makes one mistake and you throw him under the bus. Because that's the way he started the press conferences. It came down to one individual mistake by Kalina.
Yeah. I mean, it's like a tale of two
What happened
coins.
at the 7th minute? You still had around 85 minutes to score a goal, and you couldn't do that.
Yeah. I mean, there's always two sides to a coin, though. You know what I mean? Like, there's always the good and then there's the bad. You know what I mean? And unfortunately, when you're a goalkeeper, the easiest thing to point out is the bad.
Yep.
You know what I mean? The bad always outweighs the good. And unfortunately, dude, like, if you're just like somebody and you're pinpointing mistakes that game, what was the deal breaker for the loss that match? You have to put it on the Kalina save, dude. Because that has to be a save that he needs to make and that we expect him to make. But I mean, it happens. It gets through the goalkeeper. It gets under you too much, and you can't make that save. You don't know to react with your feet or if to go with your hands. And then he was in between his hands and his feet. You know what I mean? So, like I said, it's just unfortunate. And yeah, I would not like to blame Kalina on that result, but I am gonna blame Kalina on that result. Just because if you had to put it down to one thing that cost us that match, it would be that. If it, like, aside from Kalina making that mistake, if our offense was performing that match, we would have been able to win that match, no problem. But we weren't attacking. We didn't hold the ball. And we just looked very lethargic at times, dude.
Yeah.
We just didn't look like ourselves.
And you got players like that are given opportunities, like look at De La Torre, and they just keep shit in the bag.
And they squander it. Absolutely, dude. And I was sitting beside what's his name? Gosh, I'm blanking right now. Aaron from Top Bin 90, dude. And he gets frustrated every time when we're around the 18 just passing the damn ball, dude. Like, somebody take a damn shot. You know what I mean? We look like a damn game of pinball. We're just bing, 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 bing. We don't shoot the damn ball, dude.
Yep.
And it's just frustrating. And we as a whole, we blame the team because it's a structural thing that we can't get the results. But like I said, I will blame Kalina for that one result right there.
Yep.
We could at least. I
think we suck.
We sucked on Wednesday. We sucked on Wednesday, but we bounced back on Saturday. Let's talk about
back. I wouldn't call it a bounce back if that's what y'all want to call it.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it a bounce back yet.
Yeah,
I wouldn't.
Honestly, I think we got lucky on Saturday. We got very lucky because if they would have counted that goal, that game would have been completely different.
And it would have been same old Charlotte. They score, the other team scores a minute or two after, and then it's an open game from that. Brian, what do you think was the difference maker this time? The urgency that Charlotte came out of, or they were attacking the whole game with purpose this time?
I mean, I think one is you're up against a team that had a lot of injuries. I think that definitely played into Charlotte's favor. I mean, at the same time, you just got to take advantage of the moments that you have. And if you have a situation where Toronto has a lot of injuries, you face that team, you got to go in and get a result. And I think as long as you get a result any way you can, you at least move on from that and get the 3 points. I do feel like they let Toronto hang around. They didn't. I honestly don't think they really exerted too much dominance, at least in the first 20 minutes. And Dean Smith called that out also in the post match presser. And then they got their moment with Vargas, who I would say of any player over the last few weeks who I've really I think has shown, at least in the attacking third, Vargas has brought a decent amount of spark and energy and willingness to take players on 1v1. Now it hasn't always led to final product, but it's been one player that for me has stood out, and at least in this game turned that into a couple of assists. And so finding the ball, they got to Zaha putting it away, which was, I'd say, good for him down the stretch here with his last couple games coming up. But then to give up that goal right away to Toronto to Etienne, and just to have like have him go through Byrne and then what was it, Westwood and then Bronico, like literally just cruise through their entire midfield and back line, and then just have yards of space to drill that equalizer, I think was just an incredible just lack of just defensive moment. And then again, Gilman on that second one, like that Patrick said, was called off. I mean, he was also unmarked on that free kick. And so obviously, you get away with one there with Osorio, and even Dean called that out as well. And he said, like, we got away with one on that goal. And so, but taking advantage of that moment, finding a second goal, going up 2-1 at the half, which I think was big for the team. I mean, they hadn't had a lead since April 18th when they beat New York City. So I think it gets back to basics. Like, hey, just get back in front of the game, figure out how to defend the lead again, and just get, back on track. Now, I think the downside is, like, it sucks that they're even in that spot where we're talking about those kind of basics and fundamentals. I think that's the biggest underlying factors. Like, why are we back in this spot again? This sounds like 2022, 2023 Charlotte FC, whereas, like, at this point, this is year 3 of Dean, rebuilding the team, all this kind of stuff. And the expectations were set so much higher than the pieces aren't coming into place. They're defending decent one game and then they can't attack, and then they attack one game and they can't defend. And why is everything kind of off? And I think that's been why haven't they been able to play a full 90 minutes? I think those questions that have come up is like, we're into year 3 of this project. Why is there still so many different aspects of the game that aren't falling into place at the same time? And I think that's what this game, even though they got the win, it still felt like a lot of those pieces weren't falling into place. And I think Dean also mentioned that because he didn't really sound super positive post-match. I mean, they got the result, but he made it sound like there was still a lot of moments where they got away with one, whether it was that VAR check or just in general, like not really outplaying a Toronto team that they should be significantly better than.
Oh yeah, because they get the scout report. They know 7. I don't know if it was 7 or 8 people missing. The only guy that I recognized on the field was Kyle Zimmerman, and he hasn't been the same since Vargas knocked him out.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yep.
I mean, Dean knows. Like in reality, like we got that bar. I mean, if it would have been us on that call, we would have been mad if it would have went on. Like it would have been on us. But
100%.
I mean, they won. That's a positive. But just I didn't like the way we're conceding goals, though. I think it's like the 4th time this season that we concede a goal from outside the box. So I don't know if it's because we're zona defending or people are missing their mark. But yeah, Kalina doesn't do. I'd rather see Kalina on 1v1s instead of the somebody taking a shot outside the 18, because most of the time Kalina's not reaching it.
Yeah. What's the time and space? I mean, for me, like it was like the Evander goal. The guy had like 3 seconds to tee it up and put that shot in the corner, and you can't leave Evander with that much space in this place. And I think so. It's like some of these guys are just getting too much space to think about it. And so while it may be a long distance effort that looks like a crazy highlight, it becomes a way higher percentage look when you give them that much time to think about it. These are professionals that are practicing this on a daily basis. And if you give them a lot of time to think about what they want to do, I mean, a lot of these guys can hit a long range effort if you give them a chance.
Yeah. It feels like we're the only team that doesn't shoot from range, man.
Yeah.
Like,
Sneg finally decided to do it, and look what fucking happened.
I mean, yeah.
And that's something it looks like they've been practicing for a while, because if I'm not mistaken, he kind of scored the same goal in the U.S. Open Cup, right, against the Independents.
Yeah, well, that one was a free kick. It was a free kick for the one in the U.S. Open Cup, if I'm remembering correctly. But it was the same kind of range for sure, and low curling. That one I think was around the wall, or like put it through, if I'm remembering correctly. But this one, same kind of range, and yeah, Schnegg is great with the left foot. I think I have some issues with his defending, but his sort of marking and positioning, but. In the final third with his left, he definitely can play the ball in a bunch of different ways. And he's definitely, shown, especially with this latest goal, like he can be pretty lethal with that left foot.
Yeah, he reminds me a lot when he gets in the like I said, he's not really good defensively, but when he gets to the attacking third, he reminds me of Nemanja Matic from back in the day.
Yeah.
You know, he's
Yeah.
a big, tall left footer, and I'm dude. If he keeps getting minutes, I feel like he's gonna get a lot of assists because I love the way he crosses the ball. Unfortunately, Trocco Mati hasn't been on the end of it, but he's slinging that ball in, and then he has a foot.
Yep.
I rate Snake highly, but it's good to see competition on the left. On the left back position, we need to bring a right back in to give that competition Burns too. He's been balling out too, but he's getting it age wise. He maybe a year or two with Burns, so we definitely need some competition in the right back. But Nate, what you think of the game Saturday, man? What was about in the stadium? You guys were actually there. What was the supporter section like?
My opinion, Snag is
Up and down. Were y'all
the supporter section?
It wasn't the same because you weren't
was,
there to yell at the players,
yeah.
Brian. You
Tony
were there to
said-
talk shit.
Tony said,
We
"What
was
did
just
I miss?"
wilding out?
Brian, let me show you what you missed, dude. Tony said, "What did I miss?" Hold on, let me leave this up too. Tony said, "What did I miss?"
We had
Let me
Tony
show you-
taking up 3 seats and shit.
Let me show you exactly what we missed this weekend, Brian. Check this out. What is that?
we
Oh,
don't got, oh man.
Motherfucker hit the gym. Now I see why that car came out damaged.
this is the man that got hit by a car,
Fell off a roof.
and the car's insurance had to pay him.
And the car got totaled.
Yeah, that car came
Car's
out
total. Car was done.
The boys played well. I'm not reading that next one. That dude's wild for that comment. I'm learning. I'm learning to read the comments before I put them up. Guess I should have show up so we keep winning. I wasn't there either, man. Damn.
I wasn't there. Tabe 90, Jorge Tabe 90 wasn't there. So I left.
Yeah.
Damn.
If
Are
they
we the
went
problem?
Saturday-
Are we
Yeah,
the problem?
Yeah, I don't go Saturday.
I won't be
Don't
there
go
Saturday, so we'll see. We'll see, dude.
Yeah, there weren't a lot of media. It was I feel like a lot of media took the same weekend off. Like Jorge wasn't there, Carol wasn't there. It was like me, the rest of the Top Bin 90 crew, and a few people from Soccer Sheets. But it wasn't like even the main people from Soccer Sheets. Like Sam wasn't there. Like it was a pretty empty media room. It was like the whole vibe on Saturday, media and out. I mean, again, I feel like it's just been a little bit since the losing streak started. Just things maybe just a little slightly off. They need to get a streak going.
A lot of people also had
unmotivated.
graduation parties and shit.
Yeah,
this
that's
past
true
weekend.
too. That's fair. Yeah, it's that time of year.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
but it's also unmotivating when the team's not doing well, dude. Because if the team's performing, there's people show up to the matches. I did an interview with gosh, I'm blanking on his name. His name was Colin from the QC Nerve. Just last week on Thursday, I believe. Yeah, Thursday. I did it on Thursday. And he was like, "What's something that you think would get more people to the Charlotte FC matches?" I was like, "What's the one thing that gets everybody at the Carolina Panthers match? When they win, when they're winning, when they perform, some silverware, something good. You know what I mean? Right now, the team's down bad. Like, there's nothing good to talk about.
You got to win games to get silverware.
Exactly. You know what I mean? I told him, I was like, right now the team is down bad. It's a 5-game spell that we haven't got a result. Make it 6 with the U.S. Open Cup. You know what I mean? And we were like scoreless in like four continuous matches. So it's like,
I think at one point there was like 200 minutes like for us without a goal.
Yeah. So like, dude, I was like, it's just we got to get results. If the team is performing, people show up. It's just hard to show up when the team ain't doing well.
Yep, and that leads us up to our next topic, fellas. Before we preview New England, what have Charlotte FC met y'all's expectations so far? We're a little halfway throughout the season. Are you guys from the beginning of the season? Are you guys expectations? Have they been met pretty much from all the promises that we've heard? Nate, we'll start with you, man.
Fuck no.
Fuck no.
Oh my god.
Tell me about it. What's up?
First off, what the fuck were we promised?
Top 4.
About to be looking like bottom 4 right now.
Oh. I dodged them motherfuckers. You seen that? I was like,
Well, what was in that cup of noodles?
for real, dude. What were you
A little
eating?
bit of that special sauce.
Yeah.
Well, what about you, Brian? What was your expectations, man?
I mean, for sure, top 4, right? I think that's, the standard that's been set by the club from meeting that mark last year, from everything the club has talked about, and whether it's been Westwood saying, hey, we need to bounce back from losing first round. Now we got to go for top. We made top 4, like we said last year. Now we got to go top. From Zoran going on, I think it was Backhill and saying, hey, we want to be like the Seattle Sounders, which, the Sounders baseline is silverware and trophies. And I think it actually kind of gave me chills when I think it was Albert Rusnak, who was in an interview, and they asked him, like, what does it mean to be a Sounder? And he said, to be a Sounder, you have to be addicted to winning trophies. And it means something when you can say that when you're on a team that is doing what the Seattle Sounders do pretty consistently. They went on like a 2-year drought of not winning trophies, and they called it like a drought, and it was like considered their worst run of the season. And that's between winning the CONCACAF Champions Cup and setting MLS history before that drought, and then winning Leagues Cup against Miami and like smashing them 3-0 in front of like 69,000 of their own supporters the year after. So like in between 2 trophies that were, I would say, pretty historic for their club, they had a 2-year drought. And so like, that's what being a Sounder means, and they can back it up with their results. And so when you hear a player say things like that and be able to back it up, it means something a little bit more. It hits a little bit different. And so I think when Zoran comes on and says what he says about wanting to be like the Sounders, and you hear Westwood and Dean kind of set their standards, it's like it means a little bit less when it's harder to back it up. And I think that's where eventually at some point the fan base is going to get tired of kind of hearing the smoke that they're just kind of blowing, and you got to be able to back it up with consistency and results and a standard that's higher. And I think that's what was kind of promised based on both what they've said this year, whether it's been front office, coach, captain, and then also just based on the results last year. And they said, like, keep the team together. We got top 4 with this group. They wanted to keep the squad together. They preached cohesion, continuity, all these kind of things going into this year. That's why they didn't make a whole lot of shakeup and change. They added a couple extra pieces that they thought would make the difference. Kessler has added center back depth, helped replace Malanda. Luca De La Torre added different dynamic to the midfield, things like that. But they didn't really shake things up, right? Because they said, like, hey, we're just going to keep the same group, and keeping the same group for another year should add, more to what's happening. And based on, year over year progress. But you're seeing a lot of these teams jump them because of the progress they made both in the transfer window during the winter. I would say Nashville is a prime example of that. Picking up Espinoza on the free during the winter has changed their dynamic of their season, and they look like, to me, the best team in all of MLS right now. You see the progress Chicago Fire have made as well. So it just seems like they didn't anticipate. They were expecting a little bit of growth from cohesion and continuity, and some of these teams have jumped them. New England, who we're playing this weekend, jumped them as well. So, I think there's something there that they maybe didn't quite land on. And they're, for me, for sure, below expectations.
100%. Like, I was so excited because in year 5, right? We're in year 5.
Mm-hmm.
It was the first time that we had a going into preseason. We had a starting 11 pretty much going into this preseason.
Yep.
They were preaching continuity, all this bull crap. We didn't see none of it during the Coachella Invitational. Dean was like, "Oh, we're going to try to like sling balls into like Tokromati and like build like that." We didn't see none of that.
Yeah.
And we kind of let it slide for like 4 games, and now we're halfway through the season, and we look like a team that just don't know each other. So yeah, the low expectations for me. Our DPs ain't performing. Abada, he's gone. Saha, last game this Saturday. And personally, it falls on Zoran, in my opinion, because Lee said it last night. It's from the very beginning. He didn't know how to build the squad.
But if they leave, who the fuck are they going to bring in?
That's not our job, man. That's Zoran.
They gonna call up people from Crown
right
Legacy. That's all they got.
Mr. Brian Bam Mauer Media. Who, like, all right. In all honesty, Brian, we know Zaha's not going to renew his contract.
Yeah.
Is it worth Charlotte FC to make a man for man change right there, or is it more worth it to bring somebody who doesn't have as big as a name but has more experience within the MLS to make a change at Charlotte FC? What would you do if you were our sporting director?
I mean, I think you want to play the field and see what could be available. I mean, you're going to have the spot open, and it looks like Abada's gone too. I mean, Abada can't even sniff the field right now. So,
yeah,
it looks to me like they're prepping for at least opening the roster up to make some big changes if the moves present themselves this summer, which to me makes sense. This window is a unique scenario for a couple of reasons. One, it's a World Cup year. Two, it's a U.S. hosting World Cup year. So all these big time players are about to come to the U.S. and spend a month or two feeling what it's like to be a professional athlete in the States. I don't think that can go understated because it's valuable when it comes to try to recruit. I mean, the Scottish national team is going to be in Charlotte. Germany and Norway are going to be in North Carolina a lot. I mean, so you have an opportunity for word to get out about North Carolina and then also just the U.S. and MLS in general. So I think on top of that, you have the summer window lining up with the top 5 leagues in the world for the first time, maybe ever. I'd have to look back. I mean, but it's been a very long time. This is one of the things that Zoran specifically has been a public advocate on making this change. So I think there's 3 or 4 reasons why this window lines up very uniquely in both this season and then how MLS will play moving forward. And you've got to take advantage of that opportunity. So if you get the 2 DP spots open, I do want to see kind of how the field ends up playing and seeing what could end up dropping to you in MLS. I mean, there's already tons of free agents that are making moves. We've seen like Sadio Mane is planning on a new move. Mo Salah is planning on a new move. Kevin De Bruyne is, I think, Bernardo Silva. I mean, the list goes on. You're seeing coaches drop out. Pep Guardiola just announced today or the day, he's leaving Man City. So a lot of coaches and players are looking to make some pretty big changes this summer. And I think a lot of it's just targeting hey, it's a World Cup year. There's going to be opportunities and new greener pastures potentially that they don't, know. And so I think a lot of players and coaches are trying to make themselves available free agents to be able to kind of negotiate on their own behalf and figure out a good new move. And, eventually what happens is these players shake up other teams' rosters and then other players drop out. And, the trickle-down effect leads to Charlotte having potentially some opportunities to nab some guys. So I think you do want to get those spots open and then kind of see what becomes available in the global market, because this is, again, a unique window. I'd rather go global in this window. The January window for me is the better market for your Espinoza type move that happened already. There's not going to be a free agent in MLS that kind of drops down and becomes available to you because they're still going to be under contract the rest of the year. Now there could be a guy maybe Columbus Crew probably want to get rid of Daniel Gazdag. He might be available kind of cheap because but I don't know how he fits in Charlotte either. That's a risk. He didn't fit in Columbus Crew. That was a gamble that they took that didn't pay out. That's why he's potentially available, and on the market. So those kind of players might be available, but I don't know if that's necessarily the fix that you want, So because I think taking a Daniel Gazdag might be kind of a risk, unless you can get a really favorable move out of it, But I would rather play, if I was in Zoran's shoes, I would be playing the global market in this window because of the World Cup being hosted in the U.S., and just the amount of players that seem to be available across the board. And you can see even teams in MLS are preparing for it. I think that's why you're seeing the coaching moves happen now. Like your 5 MLS teams have already switched coaches and made changes. We just saw Austin and the Columbus Crew just happened like in the last couple of days, and they're all setting up for, the summer with a lot of coaching changes happening. So I think a lot of teams are preparing for it. And I think this is Zaha leaving and not renewing. And then Abada kind of, it looks like he's on the outs. Like those two situations are Charlotte FC's way of kind of priming themselves to be ready for what should be a pretty electric summer in terms of the transfer window.
Yeah. Do you think we focus like Zoran always seems to try to go get those European guys? Do you think he starts looking in South America again? Maybe like I would like to go get some couple Brazilians from what's the Brazilian league? The Campeonato?
Yeah.
There's some ballers down there, man. Yeah. Memphis Depay's down there. Give him a call.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't mind that. I would bet that we see them stick to England just based on the roots there. Dean Smith there. A lot of the recruiting and scouting is there. I'd imagine that's where they start. Then you add on top of it that the Scottish national team is in Charlotte. That was also a spot where I would start, is like who's available, who's a veteran on the Scottish national
McGinn
team. He might be available this summer that is already going to be like literally training in Charlotte for like a month, and we'll be spending time in the hotels in Charlotte, eating at the restaurants in Charlotte. They'll already be living here. And so, and then on top of that, a lot of those guys on that team know Dean personally, have worked for Dean before. So for me, I would start with the Scottish national team. And I think we actually shameless plug. We wrote an article about it a little bit ago, just in terms of just players that might be available in England and Scotland that are connected to that team. And I think that for me would be the start, just to see if anything pops up. Veteran wise, I would rather have them find somebody in their prime, similar to what they did with Pep Biel. Honestly, I think that's the profile I would love, is to see them find somebody 27, 29 in their prime. Maybe not in the top 5 league, but just outside of it. But maybe, I mean, what was the market for Biel? It was like, hey, you're like putzing around in what was it, like Denmark and in Greece and these other spots, kind of like outside of the top 5 a little bit. But he had been trained in Spain. I think he might have even gotten like reps with the Spanish like youth national team, stuff like that. Like was around and like obviously got a lot of good training. But then like the market of being like, hey, you could be a superstar here. You could be a top player for Charlotte FC, which is what it turned out to be. Now he's making like $3 to $5 million a year in his prime in a town in the U.S. where, it seems like he's like really loving it here, place to raise a family, things like that. Like there's a lot of things that Charlotte can market to a player like that. And I think that's the profile for me, is like, can you get a guy in his prime, maybe just outside the top 5, that would vibe with the idea of making good money, being like a big time star in this league and for this club.
Yeah, absolutely.
Have you got any names that you would want to see come in Charlotte? Liga Max, anybody?
Then I could name a shit ton of players that I'd want to see at Charlotte FC, but the reality is you probably won't ever see any of them there. And I'm with what Brian said. We can't go for the man for man sub here. You know what I mean? We can't go for somebody who's in their 30s and hope that the big name will bring people in and bring results in. You know what I mean? Now we need to bring somebody who's, like he said, young, in their prime, who's like, the way I like to call it is a small fish in a big pond, and you bring him over here and now he's a big fish in a small pond. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
that's it.
That's the way Charlotte FC is going to build, and that's the only way Charlotte FC is going to be like a top team. I feel like we're with Dean in place, who has that track record of producing young players and making them into something. Jack Grealish, for example, just one out of the very few. We got something to capitalize from here, bro. But like, it's just going all wrong. It's the front office versus the tactics of Dean Smith, and they're just not. I just don't see them going in coalition together. Like, it's not. They they don't work very well together, and something needs to change, and it's either the coach or the front office. And I'd rather see the front office change rather than the coach. Yeah,
everybody wants to see the front office change.
I'd rather see Zoran go.
Yeah.
And that's
And
the front office.
I don't want to see anybody lose their job. It's just I don't feel like
Fuck that.
I don't
You
care.
can't perform your job correctly, you lose that
ability
shit.
to bring the
Yeah.
players who wants to
If
be.
you don't know how to do your job,
Fuck
then you
outta
don't need to be
here.
doing that job. Fuck that shit.
I'll use David's analogy with the big fish in a big pond. So we thought we had a big fish in Saha, and it turns
I
out he
did
was
not
just.
think that.
It turned out not so well, fellas. What did we make about Saha Stent in Charlotte? He's potentially going into his last game Saturday. We're lucky he scored a goal and didn't get a yellow, so he gets to play his last game. Pat, what do you make?
100% sure he's not going to stay.
Well, there hasn't been anything to confirm that Zaha's not renewing.
But
both
if
the club
happy
and the
wife, happy life, and when your wife posts a story
I'll
on
let that
Instagram,
motherfucker borrow my bags just so we can get the fuck on out of here.
and man, and people were some creeps. Somebody on Reddit said, "I've been looking. I stay near. I'm Saha's neighbor in the Airbnb, and he didn't renew the Airbnb, so he's gone."
Yeah.
People look at all that stuff.
Yeah, dude, he did not renew his Airbnb contract. There's a few key factors here. A couple months ago, Top Mid 90 put it out on their Instagram. His wife,
Maybe he's moving to Gastonia.
Up saying that they're gonna miss Charlotte.
Right. Maybe he wants to live in the outskirts.
Nah, fuck that.
No, but for real, like, what did y'all make about Pat? What did you make about his stint in Charlotte, man? Like, did you like it? Nah.
He wasn't the greatest. He wasn't the worst. He had his moments where he was really good, and then he has moments where he's a fucking idiot. And I'm just like, bro, what the fuck?
He had more moments where he was a fucking idiot.
Oh God.
He was definitely better, in my opinion, than the last DP we had out here.
Yeah.
Not Swiderski.
Brian, what about you, man? What you make about Saha's stint in Charlotte?
Yeah, I mean, I think you got the highs and the lows of them, which I think is what is pretty par for the course for Zaha. And I think even Zaha almost like says it himself. He's like, this is who you get. Like, you either get this version of me, and this is like the caring version of me who gets really passionate and a little bit over the top. And especially on the field, it's just like, way too much. But he pretty much said, he's like, you either get this or you get the bot. And so like, he's pretty much said like, this is the two versions of me that you can have. And so I think you get the good with the bad. And even like Westwood and Dean have kind of mentioned that, like, we want him to be willing to be a little bit overzealous, angry, because that they also believe like that's when the good comes out of him. But the problem is, a lot of teams in MLS found a way to get under his skin time and time again. And I think, obviously there's a lot of to make of like blaming, putting this on the refs and stuff like that. But I think also when you highlight it as often as Dean did, and you highlight it as often as Wilf did and Westwood did, all of that is information that opposition can take and use and be like, hey, like,
yeah,
this is impacting their mental state, their emotional state. And then when you see it play out, when you're reviewing tape of like, hey, if you foul him here, we don't take on that much risk because it's in the middle of the field, and there's a chance you just set him off. And so I think teams would just do that. Like, hey, if he's picking up the ball in the midfield, not a super dangerous free kick, just give him a little extra and just, kind of see what happens. Maybe the ref doesn't even blow the whistle, which would also happen from time to time. And then it just was like, I feel like there was a lot of times, especially towards the end this year, where Zaha kind of went into every game, like kind of mentally behind. He was just sort of like already committed to the ref being against him, even if the game hadn't really played out at all. And it was just sort of like, but he just seemed like his attitude was like, he went in like he was behind a lot. And I think that set him up for a lot of moments where he would go into halftime. Like there was like the game, and I talked about this yesterday as well, but like there was a video that went out about like where he was like kind of chasing down New York players when they were in New York, and they obviously get the result, but he was like chasing players down to their locker room. And these New York guys, I think it was Truin and O'Neal, were like looking at him like, what are you doing? Like, it's halftime. Like, we're going to the locker room, and Zaha just still wanted to keep going at it. And it was just like, there's just these moments where it just his inability to cool off and take, just wind down was just, especially this year for me, has just not been there. And I think a big part of it is just his inability to start at an even keel. And I think he just went into a lot of games behind in his own head.
Yeah. Yes, people calling him a cancer to the team. What, fair or just not really?
I'm it's hard to say.
I wouldn't necessarily call him a cancer. I wouldn't necessarily call him a cancer to the team.
Yeah, I don't know.
However,
yeah,
he wasn't helpful. He wasn't that helpful.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't say he wasn't that helpful because he has his moments where
he
obviously
definitely had his moments.
Yeah, when he gets the ball, he draws players in, and that creates space for other players like Vargas, Pep Biel, Toclomate. That just opens up space for them, and he makes people around him better. But the problem is, like bro friend said here, is like he just had that, he felt entitled at times, you know what I mean? And anytime he felt at times like even if he just had the slightest of touches, he wanted that foul. He wanted the call against him, and he just always felt like the victim. And I don't think he was a cancer to the team, but like how Brian Bam said, if you're going into that match mentally behind, dude, yeah, you are a cancer to the team at that time. Because, like, if you're going into the game with a shitty attitude, you're our star player, quote unquote. What kind of example are you setting to the rest of the squad? That
one bad apple can fuck up the whole patch.
Exactly. You know what I mean? So, like, it's just like it does play a part into it, but at the same time, I wouldn't say he's like the main problem. You know what I mean? Because, I mean, he has had his moments of brilliance. He's Wilfred Zaha, dude.
All right, and with that, we'll preview New England.
All right, let's do it.
Brian, tell us about New England, man.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's still Carlos Hill is the centerpiece, right? I mean, it's all about him, but they do have a couple other guys in the attack that I do like now. Dor Turgeman, there's striker. And then Luca Langoni has also hit the ground running. I'd say both of those guys. Will Sands also, I kind of have him highlighted. I felt like he did really well on the right-hand side against Wilfred Zaha and co in their last game. And I feel like in this game, he'll be most likely on the left, which is his natural side. He was on the right-hand side, but he's left-footed. And so I think in this game, he'll be on his left. And I think he struck me as a really, really intriguing fullback for New England. So those are kind of the guys that stand out to me. I think the biggest issue for Charlotte is just they haven't done well against the top teams in the East. Like they lost or they drew Miami.
B team.
Swept by Nashville, lost to New England so far. They haven't played Chicago yet, but I mean, you start to run out of games playing against these top teams in the East to try to actually get yourself back. We talked about expectations and standards earlier, but like you got to get, those, if you're going to meet those standards, you got to beat the teams that are ahead of you and try to catch up. And you're just running out of games to do that, Yeah. And so I think that makes this matchup extremely important for them to find a way to get all 3 points and get things back on track. I still don't even think the win fully gets everybody on board going into the World Cup break, but at least continues to improve the vibes. It would be a legit big win for the club. And then you go into the break with another 3 points in hand. And I think if they don't get all 3 points, that 2-month vibe stretch from the fan base, from everyone, I think, it's a long wait, to say the least.
Yeah. So, David, what do you think about New England, man? Like, just this Carlos Hill, or historically, they always find a way to beat us.
Yeah. This match against New England Revolution is going to be trickier than normal because right now this team is way better than their reputation shows. They're not blowing teams out of the water. They're not fucking an LAFC, an LA Galaxy, or Inter Miami to say, you know what I mean? They're not even close, but they're getting the job done. And that's the first thing to being a good team, getting results. You know what I mean? The biggest danger is still Carl's Gill, like you said, bro. Like, for some reason, he always finds a way to score or finds a way to contribute against Charlotte FC. And everything at the moment is running through him right now. They look good because of that one man. You know what I mean? He's the difference maker. And it's the same story that we had against FC Cincinnati. We can't let him shoot, and we can't let him have pockets of space, because if he does, he's going to take advantage. And right now, we're not showing to be defensively sound, to say the least. So we can't give him that time, and we can't give him the space. So the second thing that I wanted to point out is their defensive organization, dude. They look clean, man. They look clean in the defense, bro. So we have our challenge cut out for us in the offense because their defense looks really good. And we also have work cut out for us in the defense because Carl's Gill looks really good. So this game is completely up to Charlotte FC right now. It's not about the fans bringing the energy, showing up, whatever. This match is 100% on Charlotte FC. We need a performance from Pep Biel. We need a performance from Wilfried Zaha, whether it be his last match or he renews or whatever. I don't care. This team needs to show up and get a result. This New England Revolution side is sitting third in the Eastern Conference, and we can't take this game lightly. We have to go out and get a result because, like Brian said, it's going to be a long 2-month wait before we get at home.
And the best thing Charlotte can do for themselves is get a win, because the East is so tight that a win, and with other results going our way, we're instead of being a play-in team, we're a playoff team just because based on results. Yeah. And it just makes it easier if we go into the World Cup break with a win. Easier to recruit. Yeah, we had a four loss winning streak or whatever, but we were able to, before the break, we were able to bounce back with 2 wins. We can build on this. And I'll be the first one to say, if for some reason Zaha decides to stay, I don't have a problem with it. I don't mind the antics. Next year we'll probably be used to it, but if this is his last game, we wish you well in your future endeavors. We're going to need those keys back, Prey.
Fuck your future endeavors. Get the fuck out of here.
Score predictions, fellas. It's going to be a rainy day. I checked earlier, around 7:30 is about 45% rain. A lot of graduation, so the attendance might not be there. David, we'll start with you, man. Score prediction.
I say I'm going to be optimistic, even though I'm not going to be at the match. I'm going to say 2-1 from Charlotte. Unfortunately, New England's going to score first. For some reason, it takes a slap to the face for Charlotte FC to get started and going. And then we'll get it going in the second half. For some reason, we've been a second-half team this whole season, dude. I don't like that. I really don't like that, but I feel like we get a result, and it'll be a great result because we're coming off of a high. That 3-1 win feels really good against Toronto.
Nate?
2 things. Fuck Boston and fuck Dunkin' Donuts. I think we're winning 2-0.
Who scores the goals, man?
Like I always say, I don't give a fuck who scores them. Kalina or Dean Smith can score them for all I fucking care, as long as they get scored.
Mr. Patrick?
I think we win.
Red Sox.
I think we get lucky and we win 2-0.
Hey.
You got any names in mind?
Yeah, two auto goals.
2 own goals. Brian, what you think, man? What'd you make of this match?
I think I'm going to stick with my same predictions yesterday. 1-1. I think a 1-1 draw. It was actually would be the first draw between these two teams. They usually get results one way or the other. I think 1-1 draw. I think Vargas gets the goal.
Hey, there you go.
I'll say 2-1, and I would like to see Zaha and Pep get a goal just so Pep can keep building that tally. And Before we close out, what y'all make about and no Charlotte FC making them the Charlotte All-Star game so far? You think somebody will make a late push?
I mean, I don't see. Besides Pep, I don't see anybody else that deserves to be on there.
Kalina?
I get it. It's an all-star match. Look, I get it. It's an all-star match. But at the same time, like, if you're the city representing or whatever, I feel like it should be like a stipulation where, like, at least one player from the home team has to be on that squad.
Tell him, Brian. Tell him, Brian.
They will have at least. So the voting right now is only for 11 players. Dean Smith gets to pick 13. So after the 11 are selected, Dean picks another 13, and then Don Garber picks 2 more on top.
Wait. So I had no clue that Dean was the coach. When did that?
Yeah, Brian blew my mind about that yesterday. So
they're losing. Put your money in Liga MX.
Well, you'll blow Dean Smith's mind with it too, because Dean Smith still hasn't spent. He doesn't spend any time thinking about the All-Star game. So that's going to be a game time decision for him as well. So but
he better call his players. Hey, which one of y'all not busy right now?
Yeah. So I think there's there's no way Dean doesn't. I would set the over under at 2.5 Charlotte FC players making the roster, just from Dean selecting them. So I do think
I might actually go now.
No, yeah, for sure. I mean, so the host city, the coaches for the whatever city hosts. Like, so last year I think it was Nico Estevez when it was in.
Oh, okay, that's awesome.
Yeah. So the host city, that coach hosts or coaches, and so Dean will pick at least 2 or 3. I think it still is valuable to see your player get voted in, because that's the players voting, that's the fans voting, and that's the media voting. And so that's a 30% split across the board between players, fans, and media. So it's a combination of the popularity and then just people who are observing or playing against them week in, week out. And so if you're getting selected by those guys, I think that's when you're really making an impact, whether it's through national just popularity or on the field, and then from media.
And that's a tough list to make, dude, because you have to keep in mind the year that Kalina made goalkeeper of the year, he wasn't on the all-star squad.
No. Well, he got hot in the second. I feel like he got hot in the second half. You have to get hot early. That's the other thing, because voting is already ended, and there's the game won't be for another couple months. Now, obviously, it's because there's a 2-month break as well. But voting already has to be in by this Thursday, so there's still a whole nother game that players will play before the break, and that won't be factored in at all. So you have to kind of get hot early or be super popular.
Yeah, so that's cool. At least for sure, like somebody will be on the team. Like maybe Tim Ream. That'd be the commissioner's pick. That'd be, I don't know.
Yeah. Look, if they don't have any players this year, they're never gonna have. They're never gonna have an.
Yeah, we're never gonna have one.
Yeah, unfortunately.
And like that, ladies and gentlemen, we recapped the week that was a roller coaster for Charlotte FC. It all comes down to the game Saturday against the New England Evolution. If they beat us, it's a clean sweep, and it would be the first time it happens already. Nashville already did it to us. Brian, we appreciate you coming, man. Where can we find your stuff, brother?
Yeah, you can find me on X at Bam Mauer Media, written content, topend90.com. Yeah, that's generally where you can find me.
Patrick, Nate, any final thoughts, fellas?
Fuck Boston.
Fuck Boston. Fuck Dunkin' Donuts. Fuck the Red Sox. Fuck Mark Wahlberg.
Fuck
Whataburger.
Fuck Tom Brady.
Chill.
David.
I, on the other hand, want to spread peace and love, ladies and gentlemen. Go hug somebody. Tell them you love them.
I'm still Brian. This was their episode of Hula Talk. Remember to wipe from front to back. We're out.
Adios.